Your next level is going to be your chocolate chips.
Florida provides little oversight of its scholarship programs for private schools, often called school vouchers.
Good job. Good job.
Some schools hire teachers without college degrees, hold classes in aging strip malls, and falsify fire or health records.
Very seldom do people take the time to really go inside these classrooms and take a look at what's going on.
Our investigation uncovered that parents often don't realize how few checks the state makes on private schools that this year will collect nearly $1 billion from programs.
Every parent is going to struggle today with making the right choices.
We're literally just getting thrown out there on our own.
The Orlando Sentinel spent 6 months looking into these scholarship programs that serve 140,000 students statewide and about 30,000 students in Central Florida.
The number of children using these programs more than tripled from a decade ago. On this edition of Orlando Sentinel Snapshot, we're taking you inside the classrooms of private schools in Central Florida that take part in the largest and most loosely regulated school choice program in the country.
What's our motto?
Two events sparked this investigation.
There was a school in Orlando that took these vouchers where the owners were arrested and charged with Medicaid fraud. Basically, they're accused of stealing money from children's accounts. And then President Trump and his education secretary, Betsy DeVos, also came to visit Orlando in March and visited St. Andrew Catholic School, which is one of the schools that takes these scholarships, and were touting Florida's programs and saying this is the kind of thing they want to see go nationwide. The state has 3 scholarship programs. They're the Gardner Scholarships, the McKay Scholarships, and tax credit scholarships. The first 2 are for students with disabilities, and the tax credit is for students from low-income families.
2 are paid for directly from the state budget. The tax credit program is funded by corporate donations given in exchange for a dollar-for-dollar reduction in their state tax bill. There are nearly 2,000 private schools in Florida, and many offer rigorous programs with top-notch facilities, but it can be hard for parents to assess quality.
I don't think that a lot of people realize what a lot of the schools that take this scholarship money look like. I think they envision a place like the Catholic schools, which have a long tradition of, providing education for kids. I don't think that they picture places in storefronts and strip malls or offices next to a bail bondsman on Orange Blossom Trail. I don't think they picture those types of schools when they think about private schools.
These schools operate without state rules when it comes to teacher credentials, academics, and facilities. TDR Academy in Orlando is one of them.
This school uses accelerated Christian education, which basically involves children sitting in partitioned cubicles for a good chunk of the school day, filling out workbooks.
Brian Gonzalez became principal here about a year ago. He recently turned 24 years old.
I think the highest level of accountability would mean that you are making an impact in the student's life.
Gonzalez is currently a student at Valencia College pursuing a degree in finance.
Honestly, I'm surprised. I thought that being a principal at such a young age would be taken a lot more skeptically or cynically. But so far, I haven't heard any negative feedback from any parents.
Last year, TDR Academy had 91 students and collected more than $500,000 in scholarship dollars. Another school in Orange County called Scholars Prep Academy recently expanded from a small storefront to a larger freestanding building.
No matter how big or small the school is, no matter how it looks, that doesn't determine the quality that's behind it.
Aracelis Rodriguez, whose daughter is in the 1st grade at Scholars Prep, agrees.
I have only low income, and the scholarship helped me a lot.
The school serves students from kindergarten to the 12th grade.
I do not believe that a person has to teach or have a degree in education in order to run a school, but I will say for me it's beneficial.
My daughter, she's happy when I go home. I love my school. The teacher is always be there for her. I can call her anytime she answers me. She have everything she loves.
Scholars Prep Academy had at least 13 students and collected at least $56,000 from scholarships last year. Nearby in Paramore, Harry Amos recently retired as principal of Harvest Baptist Christian Academy.
Since 1996, we were the first school here on Paramore, never had an incident of any nature because our leader is the Lord Jesus.
About 70% of voucher schools are religious, and Harvest Baptist believes in using corporal punishment, which is no longer used in local public schools.
Even when I spank a child, I grab them, I hug them, I say, I love you, and then we make them go home and write a Bible verse.
Harvest Baptist had at least 22 students and collected at least $123,000 in scholarship money last year. Amos says some parents just don't like what public schools have to offer, especially when it comes to standardized testing.
And a lot of parents have told us that that's a big issue for them, that they feel like the testing is tripping up their kids and holding them back.
Rosemont Elementary is a public school in Orange County. Parents here know how their students measure up against other public school students across the state. Parents whose children attend private school have little to go on. Test scores, graduation rates, and even how the school spends its money can be kept from public view. And Yasmin Atunez Gutierrez knows how little information can lead to major problems.
I look at school for them as a medical necessity.
This mother of 3 chose to send her children to a private school that accepted vouchers and said they specialized in autism. Doctors diagnosed all 3 of her children with the disorder.
We are walking into these places thinking that we're going into open arms, that they're going to take care of us and help us, but yet there's evil people out there that are just dying to take advantage of us.
Their school, Angel Center for Autism, shut down without notice last year after the state accused the owners of Medicaid fraud. But despite having that experience, she continues to use the program.
It's not just business, give my kid what they need and I take them home. They need love too, they need acceptance, they need patience, and to find that's really hard.
Another private school in Orlando is accused of falsifying documents to pass a fire inspection.
A Pine Hill school, Agape Christian Academy, had no working fire alarm system in several of its buildings. And the fire marshal in Orange County actually contacted DOE and said, we have a school here that has been out of compliance for more than a year. What can you do to help us get them into compliance?
Despite being accused of lying, records show Agape Christian collected about $5.6 million in scholarship money since 2012. The Department of Education revoked the school's scholarship eligibility in August for the 4th time in 3 years. An attorney for Agape said the school is fighting the state's decision. In the past 5 years, the Florida Department of Education denied or suspended scholarship eligibility more than 60 times, with some schools sanctioned more than once. But Florida lawmakers purposely crafted the programs this way. The philosophy is that the free market will sift out poor quality schools.
The 3 of us have visited more schools than DOE visited all of last year.
The Florida Department of Education visited 22 schools last year. The Orlando Sentinel went to 35.
Florida statutes actually limit how many schools the DOE inspectors can go into every year, and that's one of the things that a few people we have interviewed have said might need to change.
The nonprofit agency Step Up for Students administers the money for many of these state scholarships. Step Up's president Doug Tuthill says students on scholarships should get more money.
Politically, we aren't able to provide as much money in this program as you are in district schools. They are significantly underfunded. That's a shortcoming. The scholarships ought to be worth more.
This spring, state lawmakers boosted the value of the tax credit scholarship from nearly $6,000 to up to nearly $7,000. The state spends an average of $7,200 for each child in public school. But despite issues in some of these schools, Step Up says demand for the program increases every year.
The number one thing I've seen in our schools, the most powerful thing I've seen is frankly love. We attract the highest poverty kids in the state, the lowest performing kids in the state. We have to go through their entire household income. So you wouldn't go through that unless you were in a fairly desperate situation.
But Tuthill acknowledges that changes are needed to bring more oversight to the programs.
Every parent struggles with those decisions, and we all have to give parents better and better information. So you're right about that. There's no doubt about it. We all have to do a better job across our entire sector.
And that's what this investigation is all about.
Access to information is a big piece of what's missing from this puzzle. The other takeaway is what I have heard from policy experts and advocates is that it is worth looking to see if there aren't places where that could change. Because what is paramount here is the safety of children and the quality of education that these children are receiving.